On this episode, I bring back a repeat guest, friend, member, client on the masterclass, and we're going to talk about how he went from $1 million in revenue all the way up to 8 figures in the past couple of years. And we go over, all kinds of really amazing stuff. So I think you're really going to love this episode, and let's get into it. Hey, Chris, welcome back on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jason.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you back on. It's been a while since you've been on the podcast. Obviously, we chat all the time in the mastermind and back and forth about Star Wars and all goofy stuff. But for the people that haven't listened to the first episode, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, name's Chris Dreyer. I am the CEO of Rankings.io. We own a personal injury law firm SEO agency. So very hyper niche, both horizontally and vertically. And yeah, just excited to be here and happy to discuss it.
Yeah. So last time you were on, you were just kind of cresting the $1 million in revenue. And now you're much further along. So kind of take us through that journey a little bit about, where you're at now and what are some key things that, kind of looking back of going, I wish I knew this time and I could have even got to your level now faster.
That's a great question. That's also a really loaded question, Jason. So we'll try to talk about all the areas. I feel like I had my white belt and then I put on, I don't know the jujitsu levels, but I feel like I had my white belt and then you kind of get your brown or whatever the next level is at $1 million. And I think, we're approaching that. I don't even know that I would say black belt, but yeah, we're probably on target for our goal this year's 9 million, stretch 10. And so it's been a huge change across the entire company. I feel like we have a real business now. I think the difference is when you go to that 1 million mark, it's the owner can wear a whole bunch of hats and really hustle and get to that 1 million mark and just build, use their sphere of influence and kind of depend upon referrals and get there. But I think that you actually have to do marketing, have to generate your own brand, your own inbound your own inbound leads to really transition towards that 8-figure mark. There are, if you think about the main components of a business, so you've got finance, you got marketing, you got sales, and you got operations. Finance wise, we implemented profit first because I found out the hard way. I took my licks where the first 3 or 4 years of my business, we kept growing 100%, but my revenue wasn't increasing. Now I was investing back in the business, but for me, it was becoming, more stressful in those times. I'm like, well, why do I need a $2 million business when I'm making the exact same? So I had to learn how to be financially healthy. And as we grew, also our profitability would grow. That was a big one. It took some time. Anyone that's read the book Profit First, it's this lean mentality of working off of less and considering profit. And when you don't have any profit, to create those percentages, it takes a lot of work. And so I would say that was a big learning lesson. The second, on marketing, again, we were depending upon referrals. Our entire staff, I think I had one marketing individual, and which is funny, we still have one marketing individual, but our marketing spend's way higher because we use strategic partners. But everyone was centered around operations and doing great work. And that helped us get referrals from our clients and helped us build to that, that 7-figure mark. But, continuing off of that, it's feast or famine on referrals, which I know you've talked about.
But I like the way that you do referrals, right? And I love that, at the experience, you were like, I want to call you out, Jason, about referrals. Cause I always joke with people and I'm serious about referrals aren't scalable if you're waiting for them. Mm-hmm. But the way that you do referrals is you're not waiting for them. You're giving ammo and you're building strategic partnerships where that is scalable. and you've built an amazing business from that.
Right. Yeah, we kind of joke back and forth, you and I, and basically is anytime you put attention towards something and you're intentional, you can create it can create something. It activates it. So after reading Chet Holmes's book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, where he talks about his Dream 100 clientele list, I'm like, well, what if we did our Dream 100 referral partners? And because we were so niche, that there were a lot of services that our clients needed that we didn't provide. So I went and sought out individuals that we were trying to find and identify the best Facebook ads individual, the best pay-per-click, the best everything, video production, the services that our clients needed, and really develop those intentional relationships. So that really was very powerful. I think a lot of people have a scarcity mindset when it comes to competition, in air quotes, when in reality there's a lot of abundance, there's a lot of opportunity, and you can actually have this rising tide type of effect where we refer a PPC company PPC leads, and maybe they don't do SEO and they can refer us SEO leads. So there's some mutual benefits there.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's something I wish I did better at the first agency, because I was just trying to like murder everyone.
Yeah.
Like if you had agency in your title, like I was, you were my enemy. And I felt like you were trying to take from me, but I liked, how, after I sold, I realized seeing a lot of what you do and what other members do and all that about how that's, has helped you, and just also seeing how much work is actually out there, and only taking on that perfect work that you look for is really big. In switching focus a little bit, I think too, one of the main things that really changed a lot for you, I remember lots of conversations around this, was pricing, figuring out charging the right amount, because I feel a lot of people are way undercharging, and you've kind of taken up a notch even above that.
Yeah, and I think I just lost audio. Can you hear me, Jason?
I hear you. You're good.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's a great question about pricing, and I think one of the benefits of niching, particularly as niche as we are with just personal injury firms, you can really understand a market and understand the levels of competition. I know the SEO specialists with giant egos listening are probably thinking, oh, I can just go to Ahrefs, Moz, or SEMrush and do a competition analysis and know exactly what I should charge. No, that's probably not the case. There are intangibles that play into competition, and really understanding those intangibles and what it takes to create leverage to rank a particular industry is different. And that's the thing that we started understanding, is by working with just personal injury law firms, we could model the individuals that were successful and apply that to other firms, because the legal vertical is a very fractured environment. They're a geography. They're in all different places around the country, around the world. They have different practice areas. It's a very fractured type of environment. So the competition in Los Angeles is entirely different than St. Louis. And in some cases, Atlanta and maybe Orlando could be more competitive than at Los Angeles or Chicago. It's because of who's there and who's investing in their marketing. Several years ago, Louisiana, from a digital standpoint, had no competition. Now you've got Morris Bart, you got Get Gordon, Gordon McKernan, and you got these individuals, Labrador Earls, investing a lot in their marketing. So the dynamic has shifted. But that was a very long-winded way of saying it really helps to understand your market. But we started, I think in our first conversation, we talked about that foot in the door, the audit. It basically allows us to set strategic targets and really understand who our client is, what their assets are, what their unique selling proposition is, and what their competition, what the competition truly is on a deeper level. And a lot of our competitors, they kind of try to play that against us. They'll say, oh, well, we do an audit for free, and other people charge $5,000 and $7,500. Well, guess what? Your audit sucks, because if it's free, you're not putting a lot of staff and time and effort into that audit. It's automated by some tool and it's garbage. So that's the difference. And the discoveries really helped us determine what we needed to do to get results for our clients.
Yeah, I love it. And the last thing I want to chat about that I feel that you've done really well is kind of the structure and the different levels that you've created within the agency. Because a lot of people are like, who who do like at the million? I feel that anybody can get to the million mark, and a lot of people can maintain the million mark, but getting to the next level like you are, it's very challenging. And a lot of times we go, well, who do we need to hire in order to get, further along and really scale the agency rather than just kind of hit that glass ceiling? So what
Mhm.
were some of the roles, or what was the mindset that you had a couple years ago in order to make that transition and really start scaling?
It's a great question. And I obsess about operations and the right people in the right seats more than any other thing. I think it's the most important aspect of running a business, particularly in having the ability to scale and scale with quality. The the things that we've done is we've created, there's this big controversy, right? You've had the pod people on, and let's do the nomenclature really quick. So a pod is a cross-functional unit that is cohesive, they're self-governing. Each individual has their own function in the pod that contributes towards a goal. And then you have what's more traditional, the traditional hierarchy in the teams, where a team has individuals all in one function. So you have all the developers together, all the account managers together. And there are pros and cons to each. The pros of a pod is communication, collaboration. It's their self-governing. They can operate in their own P&L. That's kind of the pro. The con is they're harder to start up. You have individuals who don't have soft skills. It's harder to, there are a lot of challenges in those situations. With the team, the pro, and I'm kind of getting long-winded here, but the team is you have deeper level of expertise, but there's challenges in those communication silos. So we really embraced, after a lot of time and energy in reading about the biggest organizations, whether it's GE or Ford Motor Company or Toyota or whoever, or Apple, we really embraced teams, functional teams, because even though there's the downside of communication silos, you have extreme levels of expertise, deep level of expertise, which, by the way, this Apple, who is gigantic, that's how they operate. Is they have teams, not pods, and they have this deep level of expertise, and they talk about their challenges. There's a great article on Harvard Business Review that talks about their organization structure that I really encourage individuals to read.
I love it. Yeah. Well, this has all been amazing, Chris, and I appreciate you taking the time, for, coming on the podcast and everything you do to help out the mastermind. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the audience listening in?
I think the most important thing is to, think about your operations, right people, right seats. And then also, one thing that's not talked about as much is to eliminate waste. Where are you leaking money? What tools should you not be using? What individuals aren't truly driving an impact for your organization? You need to evaluate those situations too.
What I guess last question, since I lied,
Sure.
in figuring out how to eliminate the waste, what's the best way to figure out where you're wasting money?
Yeah, on the tool and software aspect, as an owner, or if you have a CFO or director of finance, is to do consistent reviews of your P&L and your vendor expenses. That's a big one that you can bring to your leadership team. From a utilization standpoint, it depends on if you're using vendors or if you have in-house labor. If you have in-house labor and you're doing almost everything in-house, you need to track hours to see if individuals are really contributing for utilization. If you're using vendors, you're paying for a unit, so it's a little bit easier to track that. And it's having a scorecard or jumbotron, whatever you want to call it, to have this top level view of your metrics to understand where there are leakages, because you can see on the scorecard where they exist.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for Chris for coming on. Everybody go check out rankings.io and follow Chris and what they're doing. They do an amazing job, and it's been an honor to see how far you've progressed year over year. That's why we do what we do. And if you guys want to be surrounded by amazing owners like Chris, and figure out the things that you might not be able to see in front of you because we're just too close to it, I want you guys to go to digitalagencyelite.com. This is our exclusive mastermind for really experienced agency owners wanting to scale faster, do really cool things, and be surrounded by even more amazing people. So go to digitalagencyelite.com. And until next time, have a swank day.